when it comes to selling, especially when high ticket sales, the very first sale that should ever be made is permission to contact the prospect. So instead of going, straight for the sale, being able to have that permission to be able to contact them is where the success is going to be found. And to explain this a bit more, the idea that someone comes into our world, for me it's selling sheds. They come in and they're looking for the product. They like what they see, but they're overwhelmed with the options. They're overwhelmed with their decisions. They don't quite know what will work for them. And so oftentimes they're not ready to buy. It's just simple truth. There are a few that are, but very seldom does somebody come into my world and are ready to buy a shed right then and there. So it's imperative that I put my focus on not selling the shed, but selling me as a person, with somebody that they can trust, with them giving me permission to contact them later. So that's the focus. That it just makes a big difference from when you shift that focus from making the sale to the permission. It changes everything. All right. And one example that I'd like to drive this home with is like when it's your turn to look for a house. If you've ever bought a house, if you've ever gone through that experience, you know what it's like. You go and you look around and you try to see what prices are and what you can afford and what type of neighborhood it's at. Is the house going to be big enough? Does the yard lend its opportunities to you? And of all those things, all those factors, how close it is to your job, what conveniences are going to be close by, and all those things matter. And you have to sort through so many decisions. So when you line yourself up with a realtor you feel like it's got your back, they're there to answer your questions, and they'll make sure that they bring you the best options and opportunities that suit you and your style, then you got a winning strategy. It's a win-win for you. It's a win-win for them. Now you've got somebody who's helping you sort through these things, especially when they know what's out there on the market, right? Like, it's so nice to be able to just call somebody up who's in the market, who knows it, and can just answer your questions quickly when it comes to making those decisions. So the most important part of that whole interaction for the realtor is that when you first meet them, the most important part is that they will be able to have permission to contact you later. So you're going to be giving them your name, your phone number, your best email address, because they're going to be like, hey, I got to send, they got to send you some listings, or maybe there might be some legal documents to look over, or there might be some statistics to see, and they're going to send that over to you in an email. That's just going to establish that relationship, and then you're going to be golden from there. So we tend to forget that when we're in our turn of being the salesperson. I tend to forget that, and I'm sure if you're like me, you're going to be the same way. You tend to forget that. We tend to just go for the sale. We've got to remember we're there to help them sort them through their decisions, and being able to be that trusted advisor in that space where they feel like that we're not just going to sell them anything for us to make a quick dollar, but we have their best interest in mind. They're going to be more than ready, more than happy to give you their contact information, right? And I also like to use it as a filter. Like, that's my filter to engage if I know that this person's serious enough. All right? So if I'm face to face and I'm dealing with somebody about a building and I could tell that they're indecisive, and I go for that, permission to contact them, and they hold back and they're just like, now I'll reach out to you whenever I'm ready. Well, that's a cue to me that they're not actually that vested, that serious in making a decision. So that's my filter. If they're not willing to trust me enough to give me their contact information, I didn't do a good enough job selling myself to them, or they're not in a space now where they really just even want to look into this more. They were just more grazing and browsing around, right? So that's a filter. And the same thing applies for like when it's like online engagement. So, you know, in the shed world, we do a lot of Facebook Marketplace messaging, posting there, Marketplace, a bunch of ads. And so you're going to get a bunch of DMs of Messenger where people are asking you pricing and asking you questions. Well, you're just an online stranger to them at that point. And in that place, when you can engage with them, ask qualifying questions, they're gonna trust you enough to when it comes time for you to ask for their email address, they're gonna trust you enough to give it to you. And how you handle that engagement afterwards is gonna make all the difference, right? That you're not gonna send them spammy information. You're not gonna just bombard their inbox. If they give you their phone number, you're not just gonna send them a bunch of random texts, or you're not gonna call them all the time. So how you handle that, how you respect that, is how they're gonna respond. So that very first interaction, it's just, you know, just to recap, it's super important that we're not there selling the product. What we're doing there is we're selling ourselves so we can be trusted, so that we can get permission to contact them. So the first sale that we make is permission to contact them. And that's what we'll do. And that's how we'll make this successful. That's how we'll be able to drive this home and be able to serve as many people as we possibly can and be able to make a difference in the sales that we make. All right, my name is Caleb Becker. I work with Digital Shed. We help shed dealers get set up with CRM, set up their marketing to be able to sell more sheds. And what I've described here in this case, this works for any business, any sales position. If you sell high ticket sales, high ticket where you got customers looking at your product, this concept works no matter what industry you're in. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next one.